Sandbox On Demand. So, the idea of Sandbox On Demand is that as a team member, I can easily request a sandbox where I can learn and improve my code. So let me ask you, Mr. I did my unofficial survey. Is this a problem for a lot of people in the room? So if you want to try something new, like you have to wait 20 days to get an environment where you can experiment. So this is a simple variation of what we just talked about. But here's what the idea is. So I've got my dev environment. And my dev environment here has things that we've already discussed today, where I have applications. I've got my Jenkins server where I run my tests from, where it launches my tests, runs my build, profiles my code, does all those wonderful things Jenkins does. I've got my dev workstations. And let's say that the idea here is that at any point in time, I can take any of these environments and I can put them into the lab. And I could say that in my sandbox, I either just want, I just want a blank virtual machine, or more importantly, take the last good build of my application, put it into the sandbox so I can do a spike on top of it, but that spike is done in a way that it doesn't have any risk to my dev environment. So this idea of, and what I've learned, I have to admit, a couple of years ago, I really didn't know this was an activity, but this idea of what's called lab strategy. So if we really want to promote innovation and improvement, developers and engineers, we need a place where we can go and play. Something I've actually been surprised to find out about, in a lot of organizations, where's like the last place where you may have like super user credentials as a developer that hasn't been locked down? It's typically the Jenkins box in a lot of environments where you can sometimes sneak onto Jenkins and you can modify things. But most of the other environments are pretty locked down in a lot of environments, which then it inhibits the ability to innovate. So the idea is saying that, again, through technology, the concept is, hey, I'm a developer. I want to do something cool. I want to take our build and I want to test out a new profiling plugin for Jenkins. Now, I don't want to take Jenkins down because my team's working. But what I want to do here is I want to take our Jenkins instance, I want to provision a sandbox in the lab, I want to go test with it, and either I want to figure out what works so that I can change it over here, or maybe I've either got a way that I can figure out how to take my sandbox, and if it works, pull it back into dev. So actually use this to build out here. That's a little more risky. People don't like that. But it's this idea that as a developer, I can experiment and learn, and I can very quickly get an environment that's been provisioned that matches my current state. So I don't have to spend, a half day to set up to do a spike, where on a base virtual machine where I have to reinstall Jenkins and emulate my build configuration. I can basically clone the build over here to the lab and have fun with it. So what that does if we do that, so teams can really test when they need to and when they want to, right? So I've met a lot of people, I guess they're not here, but I've met at least probably a dozen people at the conference that when I ask them, can you get an environment to test something new? And they're like, no, I can't. That's very hard. Or you have to submit a ticket and you wait 20 days to get an environment that you really just needed to do maybe a 2-hour spike on. So that's not very efficient. Testing and spikes can be done in isolation. So this idea that, again, people that I was with a team with an organization I want to say about 2 months ago, and literally at stand-up in the morning, the conversation was, hey guys, I'm going to take the build down for the morning so I can test this new configuration, and then we'll bring it back up in the afternoon. So they actually were testing their build configuration in their live environment, and meanwhile, what happens? It means the build's not being run for all the codes that's being worked on in the morning. So that's not good. Yes?
Pardon my ignorance. What do you mean by a spike?
A spike. So great question. Thank you. A technical spike, that's an activity a team would do to really focus on learning something. Yeah, or experiment. Research. Experiment, research. It's not a story it's throwaway code basically. Okay? And the other thing about this is it ensures that, if we go over here, we want to streamline how we provision this lab so it matches our dev environment. Because what we don't want to do is go in the sandbox or on someone's workstation, configure things differently, only to find out that they don't work here because of a difference in the environment configs. So that is our Sandbox On Demand.